Oh, yes.
Welcome back, everyone. Today we're taking a very special look at a PowerCon exclusive. This is Masters of the Universe Origins' first appearance Tri-Klops. This figure was the winner of a fan vote contest for what toy was going to be made next, and reflects Tri-Klops as he appeared in early promotional materials. So he looks a bit different than your standard release toy. And being a PowerCon exclusive, he comes in this special overbox, which is very, very nice, and does tend to run more than your average toy. Definitely doesn't sell for retail like all the other PowerCon exclusives. But I decided I want to go ahead and check this thing out. So if you see my reviews before you know this goes, we're going to take a look at the toy's packaging. And in this case, there's two layers. There's this overbox, and there's like the regular blister card. Then we'll open it up. We'll check out any kind of instructions there are, maybe mini comic in here. And then we'll see Tri-Klops himself, check out all of his features, accessories, posability. Naturally, I'll be doing some group shots and comparisons today. And then at the end of the video, I'll give my final thoughts. So our new Tri-Klops comes in this really nice overbox, which I just realized this is probably the backside. But okay, it doesn't matter. So right here it says The Terror of Tri-Klops, which is, the name of, I guess, the story that's based around this. And it shows him coming through a portal, being, led on by Skeletor, the Beastman hanging out in the background. And you see He-Man fighting against him. And what's really interesting is if you take a nice close look at this, it's done up, it's line art. You can even see like the pencil marks and everything. And the way it's colored makes it look like there's like actual pencil, like graphite on the box. So it's really, really nice. It's a really neat touch. Okay, here's the actual front of the box. Whatever. So it says right here, fan vote winner. Nice close-up shot of Tri-Klops looking very menacing and brandishing a sword. And you can see what appears to be the artist's name down here. So that's pretty neat. And of course you got, Masters of the Universe, Mattel, all that stuff. For ages 6 and up. I don't know too many 6-year-olds that, would buy this, but okay. Open the box now to pull out this bad boy. Look at that. All right. So here is something that's, much more similar to your standard Origins packaging. Comes on a normal blister card. Masters of the Universe, calls him as the fan vote winner right here. New for 21. Name, Tri-Klops. Evil and sees everything. Just his little descriptor there. Nice bit of artwork, which looks like it's the same as the line art here, just now fully, colored and cleaned up. What's really cool is he comes with a glow-in-the-dark Warriors ring, which is, an old accessory included with the old MOTU toys. And then we get to see the character himself, and he looks interesting. The vest part looks a little rough, like almost kind of sloppy. It really gives him a prototype-like appearance, which I think is the intent of this anyway. He's supposed to look like an early prototype. So it's something different, pretty cool. And you can see that there is indeed a new comic behind him, and it is called The Terror of Tri-Klops. See his sword back there, it's cast in gray. So that's very, very cool. And we turn this around, and we get, oh hey, here's the fully colorized version of the other artwork. Now with Castle Grayskull in the background. So this is first appearance comic book. So they're calling out the little mini comic he comes with. And again, the packaging never fails to impress. So I really dig this, both the blister card here and the outer box. They're both just really fantastic looking. Here's the mini comic that comes with Tri-Klops. And what's so cool about this is that it's a recreation of the original mini comic that came with the vintage Tri-Klops toy. Like right down to the fact that this says, Mattel Incorporated 1982. I mean, it's got all that still printed on there, fully recreated. And you can see it's done in a very different art style than the modern comics. Much simpler, less shading and all that. And what's really cool about this, for one, it's thicker than the modern mini comics. So, more story here. It's a lot longer. You can see a lot of these old designs for characters. There's Tila with her blonde hair. But what's most interesting about this story-wise is that it depicts Tri-Klops not as the bumbling henchman to Skeletor that most people know him as because of the cartoon, but as a very skilled tracker. Very smart, very independent character that basically isn't afraid to switch sides to, fight for the greater good. And even kind of betrays Skeletor here toward the end. So very interesting spin on the character that personally I find more interesting than, you know, his more common characterization is just some thug. Like I like him being this, you know, dangerous warrior, somebody who's, you know, really, really competent, and someone that even Skeletor has to watch his back around. All right, here's that little ring that came with Tri-Klops, and it looks like it should glow in the dark, but I can't seem to make it glow in the dark, so I don't know. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or what, but there it is. It's got this little, like, I guess, is that supposed to be like a gray skull stamp on the front, and then kind of a rocky surface underneath. Pretty interesting. You can see way too small to fit on one of my fingers. It doesn't even go past the bottom knuckle there. So this is clearly, you know, still designed for a kid and recreated from that ring rather than being modified to fit, you know, a grown adult. So it's interesting. It looks like it's supposed to open. Oh, it does open, but I don't really know what you would do with that. It says, what's that say? Masters of the Universe. I think that's all it really says. Hold on. So in this really tiny font, it says Masters of the Universe Classics. That's interesting because this isn't the Classics line. Was this thing included in Classics too? Maybe it was. All right, I don't want to open that anymore because you can see it's already starting to like crease this little hinge right here. So I open it enough times, that's just going to pop open and be ruined. So still, it's a neat novelty. Nothing I can actually use, but neat nonetheless. Now we actually get to see the Tri-Klops toy out of the package, and he looks new and novel, but at the same time very familiar. A lot of his details are the same as his more recognizable figure, usually colored a bit differently, but then some of the details actually have different molding. So you can see he's very brightly colored, like almost eye-searingly so. We check out his new chest piece here. It's more of a full chest armor or vest, and it's got the sash going across it with these 3 ovals here, 2 orange, 1 green. Very kind of blobby looking. I don't know if it's supposed to look like that. It kind of looks like he's got candy strapped across his chest. In fact, you remember that candy that would it would come on a roll of paper, like the little dots, and you peel them off? I hated those things, but that's what that reminds me of. The sword's the same, boots are new, and his visor is also new, but instead of having painted irises, he lacks irises and instead just gets different colored pupils. So there's like the normal expression, a somewhat angry expression with a blue pupil, and then a super angry expression with a red pupil. So, you know, interesting bit of differences there. He's also lacking any sort of eyebrow paint apps. The boots, I don't know if the boots are actually completely unique. I think they are. I don't think there's any other figure that shares this boot tooling, but I could be wrong. So yeah, he's interesting, he's different. One thing I do like about him is that his sword is fully painted. Instead of just being one solid color, it has a yellow grip, but a painted silver blade, which is more than you could say for the standard release. And there is a little hoop in the back here that you can store it on. So, you know, if you don't want him actually wielding the sword, he can just keep it on his back. You'll notice Mike keeps flopping around. And yeah, my copy of this guy has pretty weak knees. They want to keep leaning back and stuff, and it's really annoying. My regular Tri-Klops doesn't have that issue. So I don't know if this is a problem with like the entire production of this guy or if it's just my copy, but it does feel like a bit of a downgrade in the QC department. Now, of course, we have our comparison with the standard issue Origins Tri-Klops, and you can see that these two, they have very different tones about them. The retail Tri-Klops is overall just darker in color. Like his greens are darker, his skin tone is even darker, it's more of an olive color. The orange is about the same, but then he also has a much heavier use of black. So, personally, I find it to be a bit more intimidating looking than this, you know, prototype-based figure. The standard Tri-Klops does have your normal He-Man boots, so that does make him a little bit less unique. But then you can see he does have his own chest armor, and it's markedly different than the one from the prototype. They do at least both have some sort of way to sheath their sword, which is pretty nice. Here, I'll let you guys kind of do a 360 look at their eyes and the differences. So that's, regular eye, kind of angry, and then really angry. So, yeah, very different effects. And it's funny because the molding on the visor is exactly the same, but the huge difference in paint apps really just gives two completely different looks to this guy's expressions. So I think each of these figures has, some pros and cons. Personally, I do like the painted silver blade on the prototype version, and I also do like the fact that he has these unique boots that really set him apart from other figures. But I like the standard version more in every other way. Between his plastic colors, his paint apps, even the chest armor, because his chest armor, I don't know what it is, it looks sloppy. It looks like something made in, in arts and crafts class where, the lines are kind of blurry and everything's a little bit crooked. I mean, I guess if they're trying to go off of some sort of like mock-up type, prototype, they succeeded in that, but it doesn't make for a very pretty looking figure. You can see the details on his armor are just a little bit more refined. And yeah, I do personally find myself preferring the version of Tri-Klops that we all know and love. And to be fair, there's probably a reason for that, right? His design was changed by Mattel for a reason all the way back in 1982, so they probably decided that something that looked like this just looked a bit cooler. And this completes our look at the new mini comic Tri-Klops. I'm going to be honest, I find this toy to be quite ugly. If this was like the standard release of Tri-Klops, I think I'd find him very lacking. I think there's a very good reason why this did not become the final design. That being said, I'm still very happy I got this. It comes with a lot of goodies. It comes with that original mini comic that came with the vintage Tri-Klops character, came with the cool little ring there, and he's got some unique tooling that you won't find anywhere else. And he's just a really neat little look, back at the past and, kind of behind the scenes of Mattel when they were trying to go through designs and figure out what was going to work for this line. So I consider him very similar to something like those Lords of Power versions of the figures, right? Where it's just an early take on the character that's usually a little goofier looking than what we finally got, but still kind of cool in its own right. And this is the best look you'll get at this, supposed prototype outside of like really old stock photos from 1982 or, maybe even insider photos. So personally, I'm happy I got him. Yeah, he's a little pricey being a PowerCon exclusive, and he is super goofy looking, but he adds a nice little bit of quirkiness and brightness to your color palette for your evil warriors. So I don't mind having him there alongside the regular Tri-Klops. But I also recognize that he's not going to be for everyone. He does command a high price. He's really just silly looking. So unless you just didn't get the regular Tri-Klops and you feel that, the cost of this thing is worth picking him up instead, I can understand people skipping this. It's really not going to be everyone's cup of tea. However, that is just my take on this figure. Now I want to know what you all think of it. Do you want to add this to your collection? Do you find, just kind of the novelty of this toy to be intriguing? Or do you not like this? Either it's too expensive, it's too ugly, or you just really have no interest in, obscure random things and you just want the vintage toys. And feedback's always welcome in the comments section. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to toss it a like. Let YouTube know you want to see more stuff like this. If you do want to see more like this, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you always get a heads up when I post something new. I thank you for joining me for this really interesting look at the PowerCon exclusive Masters of the Universe Origins mini comic Tri-Klops. And with all that said, I will see you next time.